Alright Brick Boys, you're probably wondering what my opinion is on the latest news coming out of TNA. And you won't be getting my opinion in this video, but it's coming, for sure. Oh, don't worry about that, it's definitely coming. You may also be wondering where I've been lately. The truth is that I screwed up my shoulder. Yeah, that's my whole explanation. Notice how, as an excuse, that didn't really make much sense. And that'll be relevant to today's video because nothing about the NWA makes the slightest bit of sense. Over the last 6 months, the show has been getting progressively worse to the point that it now feels like random matches have just been copied and pasted without any rhyme or reason. Before, we may have laughed at this show, but in my opinion, there was still some stuff to like about it. I can barely even follow it anymore, and the stuff they want us to swallow is like spending an hour eating a shit sandwich. Sounds like fun? It's not. There have been rumours floating around the internet that Vince Russo has returned to a company in a wrestling capacity. To be honest, I thought at first it might be the NWA, but I don't really think that anymore. I know he has ADHD, but this did not seem like his style. Who knows where he is? Anyway, here are the most recent 3 episodes of NWA, and I have absolutely no idea what they were thinking about with the third one. James Mitchell is definitely running creative. The master of the Kenzie cutter, Kenzie Paige, opens the show. She has to defend her women's title in a random triple threat opening match. The other 2 girls have literally never been on the show before, but hey, here they are getting title shots. One of them really looks like Jasmine Nix, so naturally, don't have to think about this much, we're going to call her Jasmine Dix. The other is Amber Nova, a jobber from AEW. They quickly hit a double suplex and take turns trying to get pins on Kenzie Paige. Man, these girls are so nice to each other, they don't care which one of them wins the title. Kenzie falls out of the ring and now they will fight. Does Jasmine Dix's nappy say sausage on it? Amber Nova comes close with a crossbody and a Northern Lights before Kenzie Paige returns. She is super impressed about hitting a stomp, even though she almost fell over in the process. Jasmine Dix takes her out and dances around in circles like a moron. It seems to be the Jasmine Dix show. She kicks Nova down and hits a full Nelson slam to Kenzie Paige. Apparently, it's called the pit stop. Oh, so it's a Sparky plug gimmick. Finally, Amber reverses her and hits a DDT. No one is impressed and Kenzie hits the Kenzie cutter for the 3. This fucking chick, man. She sucks so badly. I have still not seen her hit a single move other than the Kenzie cutter. Yet, she gets all the titles and opportunities within this company. This lazy lump has spent most of the 3-minute match on the outside. I guess she's working smarter, not harder. How has she recently been rewarded with a match against Natalya? Wonder if she'll drag a good match out of her. It's time for the highlight of the show. A Damien Sandow hype package. Said no one in the history of wrestling. He brags about how good his wrestling career is going. He tells us he was born to a mother and a father. Why is my man rocking back and forth like that? He apparently doesn't see his parents anymore because he's chasing his wrestling dream. Bold boy Billy Corgan admits that he is responsible for the terror of Damien Sandow. What fucking terror? All he does is spend 20 minutes a show moaning about irrelevant bullshit. He's hardly a terror, he's just really annoying. Billy Corgan reveals that he still pays him because Sandow is good for business. Really? It doesn't seem like it. Corgan describes him as an early boss. Jesus, who in this company has passed him then? Or is this a demo? You never get past the 3rd level, I guess. I despise this Damien Sandow story. It makes no sense and he's eating up insane amounts of TV time. They're still doing that boring NWA president rubbish too. Look at the green screen on Kenny O'Crapper. Just look at it. Look how unprofessional that is. Look at the state of it. Now the tag titles will be on the line for some reason. The champions are Nox and Murdoch and they defend against the Slime Bulls. These kids are admittedly growing on me, like a hemorrhoid. They won't go away, they aren't pleasant, I'm pretty sure they sting, and so do these kids. But it's kind of like how you enjoy the smell of your own farts. The crowd cheer for the Slime Bulls because Nox and Murdoch are very old and boring. This match was set up a few episodes ago where they beat Nox in a handicap match. The bigger Slime Ball does a bunch of comedy spots before blowing a snot bubble on Murdoch. He pays for that. Murdoch hits a full Nelson slam but isn't in a rush to make a pin. Nox and Murdoch control the match for ages. Murdoch looks like he hasn't seen a gym in a decade at this point. He used to have a sort of rough, rugged toughness look to him. The smaller Slime Ball hits a dropkick to his amazement only to turn straight around into a cab driver slam. He also gets a sit-out powerbomb and that's the 3. They pull happy faces at the camera and the Slime Balls get on the mic and complain that they were told they would get 2 title shots tonight. So yay, it's the same match again. Knox immediately flattens the bigger slime ball with a crossbody, but he injures himself in the process. The tag is made to the smaller slime ball whose bat body drops. Big Murdoch comes in for big suplex. He's too cocky though and he might pay for that. Not yet though, because Murdoch hits a nasty busfly suplex for a 2. They look like they finished off the slime ball with a high-low, but then the bell randomly rings. Apparently, they've been DQ'd for double teaming for over the 5-second limit. You know, it's interesting to me, the NWA seems to be the only promotion that ever enforces these sort of minor rules. But why do these rules even exist in wrestling if nobody else bothers to enforce them? I know it's a sucky way to end a match, but let me know how you feel about that. This show just drags on and on, nothing's happening. They're still doing the stupid election angle. Apparently, Pastor CeeLo is winning, a man who has literally never been on the show until this election. God, this show is so stupid. I love that no one is still an option in this. From a person who only recently appeared on the show to 2 more, Nick Swift takes on a member of the Bold Boys of Wrestling that's the BBWs, simply known as Boz. He must be related to Droz or something. Boz hits a snap slam whilst Billy Corgan desperately tries to explain what he sees in Boz. He struggles for ages to think what he sees in him. Dude, we all know what you see in him, it's because he's bold. There is literally no other defining features of this guy. You wanted to create a wrestling company full of big bold wrestlers which you could lead and bend to your whims and live vicariously through, just because you couldn't be a wrestler. So now you have your wish and we have Boz on our screen. You're sitting there thinking this is you. This Swift guy actually looks like a bit like a Robin on crack. Despite that, the crowd still chant for him. Then he loses in 3 minutes to Boz. Jesus Christ, Corgan. The bold boy bias on this show is disgusting. There is literally no reason for this guy to be on the show other than you wish you were him. What was the point in this match? Is Boz going to be the next Undertaker? I would be willing to bet my house on it that this guy will not be the Undertaker. What's the point in booking someone who you have zero plans for? You could have sent EC3 out to the ring to take a dump in the middle of the ring and the crowd would have preferred it to this match. At least having him take a dump is necessary. This match happened for no reason and it stank up the place. Talking of bad smells, Big Mama is in the ring. She's defending a belt which has never been seen or heard of on this show. It's the Women's Television Championship. What is it with this show? Considering that everything is taped 3 months in advance, you'd think there would be time to set things up and explain them. But no, this entire show was full of people and things that don't belong. Speaking of which, on this show, she is also the tag team champion. But you wouldn't know that because nothing this company does makes any sense. Hilariously, despite being the tag team champion at the time of this recording, she actually lost her tag belt at the end of March, which we'll get to see sometime around August. That's how bad the taping schedule is. Anyway, Tiffany Nieves is the challenger. I have no idea why she's still in this company. My only advice for her would be maybe try to get some new ring gear. The current stuff doesn't look bad, but wearing the same outfit for a year straight doesn't make you feel like a big deal. Tiffany just can't get going against the bigger woman. This match has the slowest start of all times. Big Mama sucks so bad. Why is she a double champion? She looks like the abandoned Road Rash character. Thankfully, Nieves does win this match with a cloverleaf. Well, at least it makes sense. And from what I can tell, she is set to become a bigger part of the programming. As usual, the show will end with Damien Sandow complaining that he doesn't have enough wrestlers to manage. He goes on and on about how hard it is being a manager. NWA, why are you giving this much TV time to a manager? The least exciting part of a wrestling show. Nobody cares about this guy and him becoming a manager somehow makes him even more pointless. We actually have interviews with half the roster about Sandell's managerial capacities. It goes on and on for about 5 minutes and I have no idea what the point in any of it was. Horrible show, let's catch the next one. This one's going to open up with a tag match. Yay! 2 more random jobber guys who have never been on this show before. And would you look at it, they actually look like stars. I love the way that Big Talos realises this too and he desperately tries to puff his chest out. It's too late, dude. You're the jobbers now. Fentanyl has some moves and he tags his partner Casanova. This guy is definitely going to go all the way to the top. He looks like more of a star than 90% of the WWE roster. Corgan reveals he's known about this guy for a year and a half, proving that he is not only a bad businessman, but he also has a bold bias once again. What, did he have too much hair for you, Corgan? Talos is upset about being a jobber and he throws Fentanyl with a sack of shit. He also hits a side slam. He can't manage the chokeslam though, and Fentanyl leaves him on shaky legs and he tags Casanova. Basically, he's doing a wildcat gimmick, so he wrestles like a tiger would. It doesn't make for the best of wrestling. His dumbass partner decides to make a blind tag, which turns them into partners who don't get on. They do a breakup angle. Seriously, a breakup angle between two guys we've never seen before. Fuck you, NWA, a breakup angle with two people who've never been on the show. This is the dumbest shit I have ever seen. Well, that was until Daisy Kills tries to use an accordion as a weapon. An accordion as a weapon. Talos wins the powerbomb. I never want to see any of these people ever again. More video packages about how great Damien Sandow is. It's actually incredible how much worse this show has got on a monthly basis. With each show that passes, there have been less and less good moments and more unbearable ones. It happens to coincide with Damien Sandow being pushed. What a coincidence. Oh look, the world champion Bram still exists. Shame he has nothing interesting to say. This show was actually better with EC3 as champion. I know people dislike him, but it's just a fact. A triple threat for the TV title will be on next, and what a mixture of characters we have here. Carson, the champion, defends against Baron Von Storm and Pretty Boy Smooth. He's bigger than a shed, and you can park a Mustang on his forehead. If Carson wins this match, he can cash in for a world title shot. Pretty Boy gets us started with a big throwing slam. Tim Storm tries a devastating claw which gets broken up. They do a triple sleeper hold spot 1 minute into the match like it's ECW from 1994. This spot ends up taking up a third of the entire match. Carson fights off the hold. The Baron gives him a Smurn drop, which I'm almost okay with nowadays. He throws another clothesline and he thinks about the claw, but he can't manage it because random people start arguing and fighting on the outside. Billy Corgan asks if there's something going on with a different NWA show because he doesn't know what's happening here. EC3 looks confused too. What is going on? Carson is in the ring dancing like a moron. The Baron waits for him with the claw. He locks that on and they desperately stall for time as the clock ticks down to a time limit draw. It's actually the longest that anyone has ever survived the claw because they screwed the timings up and didn't realise that they had to hold on for too long. A random jobber gives Tim Storm a globe which calms him down for some reason. EC3 and his menacing crew watch on. Is it over? Yeah, a horrible vile match and segment where even the owner of the damn company had no idea what was going on. The show follows no rhyme or reason. A Vince Russo episode of wrestling is genuinely easier to follow than this. Wedding music plays for ages whilst Bram talks about Damien Sandow, yet I have no idea what anyone even said. The wedding music continues playing the entire segment and I have a headache. I despise Damien Sandow at this point. He is the worst main eventer I've ever seen. It's been 3 months of build around a manager challenging for a world title. They get so bored during this segment they completely run out of things to say, so they start talking about different karate techniques. I shit you not, this goes on for 4.5 minutes until EC3 randomly walks in and keeps calling Bram the chosen one. He hopes that he can beat Damien Sandow, and then on the 365th day he's going to rise again for another title challenge as he is the Overlord. It is then announced that Bram will face Damien Sandow in a mint julep match. What the fuck is a mint julep match? A mint julep is a type of cocktail, but they've spelt it wrong. This is appalling. This is a complete embarrassment. Why does every episode of NWA have to contain at least 5 things that don't make any sense? I should be smashing my room up right now, but I've sat through a lot of this already. These are supposed to be professional people. I can't wait to see Bram versus Damien Sandow in a cocktail glass on a pole match. Good news, we'll actually be seeing that later in this video. The only likeable thing on the entire 2 shows so far is the Brazilian chick trying to sell me NWA merch. Then we randomly have a tag team match between Big Strong Rims and Black G's and Slade Alexander and Mondo.
What about Mondo?
Well, our hero is back. Shame he's nowhere near the main event scene. Now look at this guy, G's. How can you suspend your disbelief that this old, small, out-of-shape guy would last against 2 much bigger guys? He's mostly a manager too. The crowd sound unhinged as Mondo comes into the ring. He is, of course, the leader of the BBWs and the only one worth seeing. I love how gassed he gets from 5 seconds of offense. Mims gets the tag, another guy who's pretty much underutilized on these shows. He seemed better a couple of years ago. He's just not on the show regularly enough to leave a lasting effect. I have seen enough of him to know he's good, but most people wouldn't have known this. It's good to see that Black G's has his big boy shoes on tonight. Mondo gives him a suplex, and Slade also hits a suplex. He now puts on the ankle lock finisher, but it's broken up. How is this little man still holding his own in there? The bigger guy has to resort to trying to beat him with a schoolboy pin. The match sucks until Mondo gets in and gives them a gut check. The crowd are in love with Mondo. It's actually the loudest they were across 3 shows. He has a nice hot tag and he almost beats G's with a 1%er. Mims breaks that pin up, but Mondo isn't having that and he double clotheslines the 2 morons away. He starts going into a roid rage and gritting his teeth with anger. Mondo gets an assist from his partner and he beats G's with the gut check. Despite being a face, at least I think he's a face, he puts a manager in a Boston Crab. There's another manager here too, I have no idea why. He's about to fight Mims and then the segment ends. Great, we'll find out what Mondo's up to in another 2 months, I guess.
What about Mondo?
The show ends with another terrible segment about who's going to win the vote for the president. Kenzie Paige not only sucks in the ring, but she also sucks on the mic. She lisps and screams her way through a promo and promises more money for the wrestlers if she wins presidency. Tennessee P, the former Slapnuts manager, says people should vote for him because he's old and experienced. The Preacher character preaches for ages about nothing. Has anyone else noticed that this company is made up of 90% managers? If you vote for Pastor CeeLo, he will ensure a beautiful future. I was actually most interested to hear from No One because that's who I'll be voting for. Kenzie Paige is desperately overacting as they grill Tennessee P about if he's been trying to bribe people. The crowd chant, he's a liar, even though there isn't a crowd. Wait, how were they chanting? Jesus Christ. He's a liar! And now... He's a liar! Why has this segment taken 5 minutes? This ridiculous, idiotic running gag has been going on for 2 months, and the worst bit is nobody could possibly care. Can you imagine if they spent this much time and effort on their world champion Bram? That would actually be accomplishing something. This show is an insult to Vince Russo. Vinny Roo, I'm sorry I associated you with this. A toddler with a turd in his nappy could write a better show than this. It barely even follows wrestling logic. Why is a manager the focus of every show? Oh, we've got one last show to get through, thank God. And wouldn't you know it, this is apparently the episode where Bram and Sandell will finally face off. They will probably bail on the match for a second time after hyping it up though. Silage, Mason and Alex Taylor cut a promo about climate change. Taylor is a champion of something because everybody is a champion in this damn promotion. It's actually a really good promo from Mason, even if it was essentially about the weather. It leads into them having a match against the Southern Gentlemen. It'll be a blood and grits street fight, whatever the hell that means. Billy Corgan brags for ages about being the one to book this match. Taylor's got it handled in the ring, but Mason is struggling after going upside down against the steps. The match is interrupted so they can provide an update on their stupid presidential vote. Apparently, Kenny O'Crapper has dropped out. They're going to finally reveal the winner on this show. We return from the advert break to see an anticlimactic attempt at breaking one of the Southern Gentleman's legs. The crowd don't react to it either. Mason catches a dive on the outside and slams one of the gentlemen into the steps. They cane the poor guy in the ass on the steps. Chairs are used for a bit now. The entire ring is filled with chairs. This is when the Southern Gentlemen fight back. Mason is back body drop, but he returns almost straight away with a chair shot, and the Southern Six hit a powerbomb crossbody combination. The referee can't count though because Tennessee P is in the ring. The Southern Six get him in the ring and throw his rulebook away. Mason eventually says, "Shut up or I'll smack you one." One of the gentlemen gets the book and decks the Southern Six with it. Alex Taylor is speared through another table. It's not over though, as Silage Mason hits the thrill ride to the other gentleman who refuses to let go of the book, but that's how the match ends. Not sure what grits are, but it had zero bearing or relevance on this match. Not a bad match, but I have no idea how it got so personal that these four had to have a street fight to settle it. Last I checked, the Southern Six were sort of arguing amongst themselves. Right, who's ready for this final clash? Because Jesus Christ, I couldn't believe what I was watching. World champion Bram walks up to Damien Sandow's house, which has police cars and fairground rides here. There is also Halloween decorations. Halloween decorations in May. Bram heads inside the house where he finds a strange couple of people. One of them, who looks like Scarlet Bordeaux on crack, says she never heard of Damien Sandow. A second later, that very man walks down the stairs and is pleased that Bram has turned up. By the way, we never saw the strippers again, so why were they here? Does Damien Sandow actually live in this house? What drugs is he on? What sane person would live in a house like this? They want to do like an MTV Cribs episode now. I feel Bram's pain, he just doesn't want to be here. Sandow wants to help Bram find happiness. A random phone in a booth starts ringing. Bram rolls his eyes and is forced to answer it. It's his mum screaming, and then she disconnects the phone line. Bram now finds Sandow meditating in a spooky room. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I am so starved of action or anything remotely interesting. I'm dying of boredom here. Please do something, I am begging you. This is basically the Broken Hardyz universe with zero action. Sandow won't stop meditating. A gong then sounds and they happily walk along. They stare lovingly into each other's eyes for an uncomfortable amount of time. Sandow starts pointing to the stars and telling us about his grandfather. Then completely out the blue he takes a cheap shot and the fight is finally on. Within a few seconds, Bram looks like he's done. Sandow fights him into a fairground ride and then it just magically starts moving. They take a ride together. Funky music starts playing. What drugs were they on? This makes the Hardy Boys look sane. This fairground ride wakes up Bram and then they teleport away from the ride. They fight in a shack and there's weird crackheads inside of it. Bram is about to win when Doom 2.0 jump in. We now teleport to a ring where the Slime Balls have a match against Bram and Carson Drake. This is such a rip-off of the Broken Hardyz. It's actually hilarious how bad they're biting it. This goes on forever too, and it isn't funny or interesting, it's just slow-motion bad effects shot whilst drug music plays. Bram looks like he's had enough. He passes out, but then he wakes up next to a river with EC3 and the stupid pasta from earlier on. Can we please stop trying to make this guy a character? No one wants to see him. Sandell has his own pirate ship and he sings pirate songs at him. He tells Bram to walk the plank. In some shots it's raining and pouring, in other shots it isn't. Sandell hits him with karate shots for what feels like forever. Suddenly a strange little man appears between Sandell's legs and he smacks him in the nutsack. Bram punches the little man away. Wow, he's ungrateful. He slow motion throws Sandell off the plank whilst horrible cheap effects play. I have never seen anything worse than this in a wrestling show. Bram hits a DDT on the grass and tries to decide what to do next. He decides to lock on a crossface and Sandell taps out. EC3 magically appears next to him, which makes Bram stop the hold. He tells Bram that that was too easy, which makes Bram intrigued and he follows Ethan away. It just ends abruptly. What the fuck was that? The results are now in for the NWA presidency. Apparently, the winner is Tennessee P. Wow, okay. Was this really worth multiple segments for the last 2 months? This one was clearly filmed at a completely different time to the matches we've seen in this video. Tennessee P is in shock that he's the new president. He thanks the fans for voting for him even though we were never given the chance to vote. He says he will be doing things by the book and the show just ends. I am in shock. Why did this need so much build just for an old miserable man to win it? They could have just announced that 2 months ago and literally nothing would have changed. What a waste of time. I will praise the Bram match because even though it was sucked and it was the worst thing I've ever seen, they tried to do something interesting and then it ended abruptly. At least they tried. But it was so strange and a complete waste of time. It took about 10 minutes for them to even start fighting. There was some weird homoerotic love thing going on before that, and what is wrong with Damien Sandow's house? I'm being deadly serious, we've been clowning the wrong guy. EC3 isn't the clown, Damien Sandow is. And if you don't agree with that, I'll still knock you down, even in your high vis.